You know, there's a reason they called him the King of Pop. And it wasn't just because it sounded good. It wasn't just a clever title someone made up for marketing. No, it was because Michael Jackson truly changed music forever. He shaped the way we think about performance, about music videos, about pop culture itself. He didn't just make songs. He created moments the world would never forget. Here's something that might surprise you. Michael started performing when most kids are still figuring out how to ride a bike. By the time he was 10, he wasn't just singing in his bedroom or performing for family. He was on national TV, in front of millions, already a star in the making. It's almost hard to believe, right? Most kids are worried about homework and school lunch. Michael was worried about rehearsals, tours, and hitting every single note perfectly. But here's the thing, his life wasn't all glitter, lights, and moonwalks. Behind that bright spotlight was a life full of struggle, pressure, and challenges that the public didn't always see. There were secrets, pain, and a constant battle to live up to impossible expectations. And when you hear the whole story, you start to understand why his journey is still one of the most talked about in music history. So today, we're taking that journey together. From the moment little Michael stepped onto a stage for the first time, to the very last days that shocked millions of fans all around the world. And trust me, there's so much more to his story than you might think. Let's go back to where it all began. Gary, Indiana. The 1960s. A small industrial city. Life wasn't fancy. The streets were ordinary. Money was tight. And in one small home lived the Jackson family, a big family. Michael was the 8th child out of 10. Imagine that, a house filled with kids running around, music playing, someone always singing or tapping on something to make a beat. His father, Joe Jackson, was strict. Really strict. But he had a vision. He believed his children could become stars. And he was determined to make it happen, no matter how hard the road would be. From the very beginning, Michael stood out. He wasn't just a cute kid with a nice voice. He had something more. Something you couldn't teach. That spark, that magic. The kind of presence that makes you stop whatever you're doing just to watch. It didn't matter that he was so young, he was already a natural performer. He joined his older brothers in a group they called the Jackson 5. They didn't just sing for fun. This was serious. Joe had them rehearsing for hours and hours. Sometimes until late at night. Over and over, perfecting every dance move, every note. No excuses. No shortcuts. The boys worked hard, and that hard work paid off. In 1969, the dream started to come true. Motown Records, one of the biggest music labels at the time, signed the Jackson 5. That's when everything changed. Their very first hit song, I Want You Back, was a huge success. Suddenly, Michael wasn't just a kid from Gary, Indiana anymore. He was on TV, in magazines, on stage in front of screaming crowds. People couldn't believe how much talent could come from someone so young. And from there, the hits just kept coming, ABC, I'll Be There, The Love You Save. Michael's voice, his energy, his moves, they made him the star of the group. But here's where it gets interesting. Most kids in his position would have been happy staying in a successful group. But Michael wasn't like most kids. He wanted more. He dreamed bigger. By the late 1970s, he began stepping out on his own. And in 1982, well, that's when history was made. That's when Thriller happened. Thriller wasn't just an album. It was a phenomenon. It became, and still is, the biggest selling album in history. Think about that. Out of every artist, every band, every genre, Michael Jackson's Thriller is number one. And it wasn't just the music. Michael reinvented music videos. They weren't just little promos for songs anymore. They became events. Thriller the video was like a short movie. Zombies danced. The choreography became iconic. And the moonwalk? That one move alone became a legend. People still try to copy it today. But here's a question: how do you handle that kind of fame? When you're not just famous, but the most famous person in the world? When cameras follow you everywhere. When every single thing you do, every word you say, gets turned into headlines. For Michael, it wasn't easy. Fame came with a price. There were endless rumors about his personal life. There were lawsuits, health problems, and intense public pressure. His appearance changed over the years, which led to endless speculation from the press. They even gave him a cruel nickname, Wacko Jacko, something he absolutely hated. Imagine being one of the most talented people alive, and still having to deal with that kind of constant criticism. And yet, no matter what people said, whenever Michael stepped onto a stage, all of it disappeared. The lights would come up, the music would start, and the king of pop would come alive. His performances were pure magic. It was like watching someone who had been born to entertain, someone whose purpose in life was to create unforgettable moments. Fast forward to 2009. Michael had been out of the public spotlight for a while, but he was ready for a comeback. And not just any comeback. He announced a massive tour called This Is It, 50 shows in London. Fans around the world were thrilled. Tickets sold out in hours. People couldn't wait to see him perform again. It was supposed to be his big return, his chance to show the world he still had it. But behind the scenes, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. Michael was exhausted. He had been rehearsing non-stop, pushing himself hard to make every performance flawless. And there was another problem: he struggled with insomnia. Night after night, he couldn't sleep. To cope, he began relying on powerful medication just to get some rest. Then, on June 25, 2009, the unthinkable happened. News broke that Michael Jackson had died from cardiac arrest caused by an overdose of propofol, a powerful anesthetic. The world froze. It didn't feel real. Fans gathered in the streets. Radio stations played his songs non-stop. Even people who weren't fans felt the weight of his loss. Michael was gone, and it felt like the end of an era. Now, here's something a lot of people don't realize. Michael's perfectionism, the thing that made him so incredible on stage, was also one of his greatest challenges. He was never satisfied with good enough. Every dance move, every vocal note, had to be just right. That's why his performances were unforgettable. But that same drive also meant he rarely rested, rarely took time to take care of himself. And while so much of his life was surrounded by controversy and speculation, there's another side that's often forgotten: his generosity. Michael donated hundreds of millions of dollars to charities during his lifetime. He visited hospitals, met sick children, and supported countless causes. In fact, he's still considered one of the most generous celebrities of all time. Even today, his influence is everywhere. You can see it in the way music videos are made, in the way artists perform, in the way dance trends spread on social media. His fingerprints are still all over pop culture. Michael Jackson's story is a powerful reminder that talent can take you to the top, but it can't protect you from life's pressures. He gave the world his music, his energy, his heart. And in return, the world gave him love, but also a level of pressure that no one should have to face alone. So now I want to hear from you. What's your favorite Michael Jackson moment? Was it the moonwalk? The Thriller music video? Or maybe a song that means something special to you? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading them. And if you enjoyed this journey through his life, you'll probably love the next story we have on other music legends and the untold parts of their journeys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, not just because everyone says that, but because it really does help us keep bringing you more of these stories. Michael may be gone, but his music, his style, and his influence, they'll live forever. And maybe that's the real meaning of being the king of pop.